Hello, this is Lisa LaRose here on Connect to Love on PRNFM, and I am joined by the most amazing co-host, Michael J. Russ. I want to say welcome, Michael, and thank you again for being my muse and for always inspiring me. You bring so much to the show, and I'm so grateful.
It takes two to tango, so.
I know it. You sent me something that it was right up my alley and right up your alley about being amazing. You are amazing. And I was so just filled with so much joy because, words themselves are energy and they have a vibration to them. And vibration is life. And so hearing those words and saying those words and empowering those words really can help shift your mindset. I believe that the words, I love you, are the exact same way. And Masaru Emoto, who was the author of The Hidden Messages in Water, used to speak about that. And I had actually had the opportunity to hear him when he came to the United States. He actually came to Pittsburgh.
Wow.
And I had such an amazing opportunity just to be in his energy and to hear what his thoughts were and what inspired him. And, people always would ask him, like, why do the water crystals change depending on the words? And he said that it had to do with the intelligence of the water. And you think about that, how much of what we absorb comes from our subconscious, comes from that inner part of us. And maybe it's the water that's inside of us that is part of that subconscious. And so whether we have something positive or the opposite of positive, it really makes us think about there's really there's a lot of power in words, and there can be a lot of difference in what we choose. And you and I have talked about this. Rather than saying, I've had a setback, you see it as a challenge. It's not a problem, but an opportunity. And I really would encourage everybody, as we are on the eve of a new year, to really be conscious of that and to know that you can expand your consciousness and you can really create the reality that you want. And I would encourage everyone to do so from a space of love. And I believe that it was Joe Vitale, and he had done a lot of work with Len Haleakala, who brought the Ho'oponopono. And he said that when he was working with Len, he found out that Ho'oponopono was very powerful in and of itself, but even just saying the words, I love you, over and over and over again, you can't help but smile. And I thought about that as I was driving home today. I thought, okay, I love you, I love you, I love you. And I'm looking around, and as I'm saying those words, it's like I'm loving on the trees. I'm loving on the gray day that we have and the rain that we had and the soggy leaves on the street. But you know what? I was just smiling because of that. And I think that is really where we're headed. And I'd love to hear your thoughts about that, Michael, because no matter where we travel in the world, we can carry that love with us. And it's part of who we are.
Yeah, it's powerful. I was just listening to this interview with Pam Gregory, and she said something quite interesting, is that it just took to heart. It's like, wow, it just hit me like a wall. She said, love isn't a weakness. It's a fire. It's a strength. Mm-hmm. And the thing that hit me is in the world today, for some reason, love has been seen as a weakness in business, in business dealings, and negotiations. If you want to get to the top, love isn't part of it. Leave your love at home. You need to be tough. You need to be ruthless, and love has anything to do with that. And I'm like, you know what? You catch more bees with honey than you do hate. And so love can be very transformative. And love is the highest vibration in the universe, and love can change things in ways that negative frequencies cannot. Because negative frequencies just perpetuate upon each other, they feed upon each other. And the other young lady, her name is right now escaping my mind. The young lady from Australia who's photographing has taken Masaru Emoto's...
Veda Austin.
Austin, yes, thank you. I knew something. I encourage our listeners to go online and look at Veda Austin's photography of water. She's taken it to a whole new level. He was photographing crystals. She's photographing scenes that water is creating as crystals, which will blow your mind. I got a book here from a couple books from Masaru Emoto, and I showed them to my girlfriend, and she goes, "What?" Yeah, the fact that that is absolute proof that thoughts are things, that thoughts have a vibration, and you can send that vibration into water. Words have vibration. You're doing nothing other than putting that vibration into the water, and as that water takes on the energy, the frequency of the words presented to it. And I believe Veda Austin called water consciousness. That's what she's pretty much come to the conclusion of, is that water is consciousness, living consciousness. And that what's amazing about it is that it's this whole mind-blowing concept that we live. If you understand that what we do on a daily basis, most people, is just not even scratch the surface of creating your own reality. Not even scratching the surface. It's kind of like you're looking at what is possible, but you don't really know anything about it. And one of the things that Pam said in this interview that I also took to heart, and it's something that there's a lot on the web about it right now, a lot of YouTube videos, a lot of everything. It's how do we create a reality? That's the question that Pam Gregory, 45-year astrologer, really brilliant, loving, kind, wonderful person, that's the thing that she most thinks about. That's the question she most asks. That's the conundrum that she continues to seek answers to, is how do we create a reality? And we've talked about it here. I talked about it on my podcast. And it encompasses a lot of different things. However, your thoughts, your words, they're a frequency, they're energy. They go somewhere. They don't just disappear. People think that they dissipate like steam. They do not. They're more like smog that just hangs there in the air. Negativity, it just hangs there. That words that you speak, individual or otherwise or collectively, have a consciousness. They go out and they're like seeds that are planted, that you plant by saying those words, and then they go out into the ethereal realm and begin to germinate and grow. And we have to be ever cognizant of what we're saying, what we're thinking, and what we're saying about ourselves, especially. It's interesting because love, when it comes to love, I gotta defer back to this to somebody that I've been working with who fights me at every turn with regard to anything metaphysical. It just goes right over his head, in one ear, out the other, doesn't hear it. And I'm like, my friend, I'm giving you the key to your own happiness. You just have to listen, right? I'm giving you many keys to being happy, getting exactly what you want. And he's so caught up in the drama of his own reality that he doesn't hear it. He's caught up in his own circumstances, and his mind refuses to let go of the past. The past is so The thoughts about the past, the things he's done in the past are constantly being brought into the present to replay themselves. And it's driving him nuts. And I've simply said, we have to let go of the past. The past is done. If we're not willing to let go of the past, especially when that past involves the opposite of love, how are we going to love? How are you going to love? You have to love yourself first. What he wants a relationship. He wants a family. He wants all these things. And I'm like, it starts with you. It starts with your inner world. Do the inner work so that your outer world can resonate exactly what it is that you're creating on the inside of you. And it just goes right over his head. It's amazing.
So true, Michael. I mean, love begins with me, and I've heard it echo in so many different teachers that I've studied with, that I've seen, and many people, even with happiness, that they think that it comes from the outside. When we talked about Hector in search of happiness, happiness did not come from having more power or more money. And what he found was it was reconnecting with who he was. It was his journey. And he had to find that. And really, once he, I think, connected and really loved himself and where he was and let himself feel again, that was when he had that breakthrough, where he felt every single emotion that there was. I mean, and sometimes maybe it goes back to the programming from when we were a child. Act your age. I mean, how many people have heard that?
Oh my gosh,
sit up straight, act your age. Don't do this. You can't do that. You don't, whatever it is. Rather than that, I mean, really, I think about my great aunt, who's 102, going to be 103. Acting her age. She still lives by herself, and
whoa, really?
So, yeah, she's so amazing. She ended up manifesting because she really doesn't like to cook anymore. She said, "Well, this is what I want to have for dinner, for Christmas dinner." And she said, "And I know that this person is going to bring me mashed potatoes." Well, she didn't quite get mashed potatoes. She got pierogies, but she didn't bemoan the fact that she got pierogies because the pierogies had mashed potatoes in them. And everybody brought her little pieces of the dinner, so guess what? She manifested them that she didn't have to cook. And I sent her some fruit, and she was happy with that. And but there are so many things that in her day, she doesn't look at what she can't do. She's so mentally sharp. And sure, she has some setbacks, and sometimes, she had a fall in the bank the other day when she has some really dear friends who take her out, and she likes to do the errands herself. It's important to her, and she loves herself enough that when she had a fall in the bank, she didn't say, "Oh, geez, you know what? I'm failing. I'm this and that." She picked herself up, and she came home, and she put some things on her knee, and she didn't blame it on anybody. She wasn't a victim. It just was something that happened. And
there you go.
And I think that she is really a model for me. And I look at she was a farm girl, a Norwegian farm girl. My great grandfather came from Norway and moved to Wisconsin, and then was able to get land in Canada by breaking the land, and he packed up his family. And it was not easy. It was not an easy life. And they had a horse, and they had a Democrat, which was a big horse-drawn carriage that was not covered, but that was their mode of transportation. And we've come a long way from there. And we're so blessed with so many different things every day. I mean, we may find, I don't remember who the author was, but he wrote a book called A Complaint-Free World. He envisioned a world where nobody complained anymore. And there's an exercise, and sometimes they say for 30 days, when you find yourself complaining about something, bring yourself back, correct it. Bring yourself back. When you find yourself complaining, then bring yourself back to a space of love or an elevated vibration of joy or happiness, and really try to stay in that positive state no matter what happens.
Yeah. I think Carol Collins was saying that the teachers were commenting on the fact that what you're looking to do, what you really want to do, is when you have a thought that's negative, incongruent with positivity, to, in essence, go do something that is that you like, that's mindless, that doesn't require focus, that allows your guide then to wipe away that negativity. It's turning negative to positive always, and that is the job. That if you're here and you can do that, if you can just keep doing that over and over and over again, change the thought. You got the thought, change the thought to something else. I think the exact words in this particular case, the example is, okay, you've got that Apple Watch, right, on your arm. I don't, but many people do. And it's a device. You have a negative thought, something, and you just, as soon as you recognize, you become aware that you're having the negative thought about something, look at your watch and talk about how beautiful it is. Look at the various things that are going on in your watch and literally talk yourself through what's happening on your watch. That thought you had will dissipate just like steam. It'll go somewhere else, and you'll be focused. You refocus yourself on something else. This is what we have to do all throughout the day, because as Pam eloquently put it here in this interview, we leak and scatter our power all over the place as we expose ourselves to drama, news, negativity. It takes our focus away from that joyful moment that we're having, that moment of bliss that we're experiencing is interrupted by something, somebody saying something, a beep on the phone that has some sort of news that we feel we need to look at. People don't realize it. I have become accustomed to having an iPhone, and the volume is always off. It's always off. It's never on. I don't hear a ding. I don't hear a ring on the phone. I interestingly enough, I pretty much catch every phone call because I can hear the vibration if somebody's calling. The ringer's never on. It's never on. When it's on, it's annoying. It's never on. I don't ever have it. It's always on silent, always, no matter where I am, what I'm doing. I can feel it ringing. If it's in my back pocket, I can feel the vibration. Fine. I never miss a call. If I miss a call, I just call somebody back. I don't have to see it. And I have no notifications on anything. I do get unsolicited notifications, and to which I say stop if they're texts, or I pretty much put them in the junk pile if they're or other that I never look at on email. But the fact is, we have so much control over our devices that have become a dramatic interference in our lives. It is a tool that we're supposed to use to our advantage, yet it is a tool that interrupts loving moments, blissful moments, joyful moments. And it does it when you don't want it to, because it doesn't know what you're thinking. It doesn't know you're trying to do that. People who've programmed it, they want your attention. And so we have to take back control of our devices, number one. This is why I don't have an iWatch. I don't want anything on my arm vibrating, and I don't want to have that be in that close a touch with the outer world.
I couldn't agree more.
Oh my gosh!
Could not agree more.
No, but here's the word I thought of when I was trying to think of earlier with my friend and a lot of people that I come across. It's like they're living on the surface of life. Mm-hmm. They're living superficially. If it's an onion, they live on the outside skin. That's where they're living. Never going inside to let the love and the joy and the peace and the freedom and the bliss out, the love. Never letting it. That's where it is. It's on the inside, right? But what's happening is everything on this planet is superficial. It's I want it now. I don't want to wait. I want it now. Everybody's impatient. Drama is sold like candy in a candy store. And it's addictive for people. It's addictive. When someone sits around and says, "Oh, I love that 48-hour show." Why? You're hearing about somebody else's drama, someone else's misery.
I know.
And all you're doing is literally, if you understood that vibration, there's a vibration that comes out of all that, and that you're absorbing, the grid is absorbing that vibration. Your subconscious is absorbing that vibration. And then you ask yourself, how can I be happy when so much is going on in the world that is so bad? I'm like, it's only bad because you're, number one, judging it as bad, and number two, you're absorbing it. You're exposing yourself, right? Because you don't quite understand that what you expose yourself to in your outer world, it has an impact on your inner world. Unless you understand, unless you build up a suit of armor to protect yourself, and a suit of armor to protect yourself from what you're exposed to on a daily basis. You create your reality by the thoughts and words that you use, because those thoughts and words have a vibration. So you literally, your thoughts being your perceptions, they drive all your other feelings and your actions. And as I was telling my friend, if you don't want to be here, if you like your house but you don't like the beach, change your perception of the beach. Find something to like about it instead of focusing on what you don't like about it.
Right.
That's basically it. You do that, and everything's going to change for you. And those inconsistencies, those incongruencies exist in people's lives, whether it's a love-hate thing going on. And it just boggles my mind, and sometimes I just laugh. Why are you so off the rails sometimes? Because
it's. I was going to say, Michael, it's so sweet that you are willing to still mentor him. I mean, you haven't thrown up your arms in frustration. You are still leading
I've been incredibly
by example,
close.
and he, I can understand that, but he sees something in you that he wants. He just doesn't know how to get it. And what I think is really powerful about what you share is you and I both are in a frequency where Pam Gregory resonates with us. Brian Scott resonates with us. Carol Collins resonates with us because they're all saying the same thing. Pam does not watch the news. She said, I can have compassion. I can understand what's going on, but she does expose herself. She does. She just said in this interview that sometimes when she's cooking dinner, she exposes herself to some things. So it's not like she lives it. Yeah. But you're right. And I find the same thing. But, where it is, and this is really where the mastery comes in, and it's becoming a master of your own thoughts. You become the master. And some people say, you're the artist of your own life. You have this canvas. What colors are you going to paint it with? So if you were to become a thought artist, where do you hold a vision in your mind's eye about what you're choosing for your life? And it's so interesting because there's some people, like, for instance, Lin-Manuel Miranda, who did so many different, Mary Poppins, which the second one, he wrote all the music. I mean, he's so incredibly amazing. And he did Hamilton. I mean, he's talented on so many levels. But what I found so fascinating about him was he felt that he was at one time not worthy. He said sometimes he feels like he's a fraud. But at some point, he can elevate himself beyond those thoughts. And maybe that's the subconscious programming in him that, as a child, somebody said, you're never going to make a living doing that.
Yeah, you'll never amount to anything doing that. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But instead, he has elevated himself and taken his consciousness beyond that. And I think the other thing he does is he connects with like-minded people. He's in an industry where he's allowed to be creative. He's been applauded for his creativity. And so if, maybe that's not your thing. Maybe music and theater isn't your thing. But surrounding yourself with people who become your cheerleaders, your tribe. And the one thing I loved about what Pam said was really about connecting with people in person. The internet is great, but when you are able to find individuals that share your passion or your simpatico, your buddies. That's that right. you can really, like, okay, I did have this challenge, but instead of complaining about it, again, seeing that problem as an opportunity. I am changing my language. I'm appreciating this about my life. Yes, I am on a journey. I'm going to have these speed bumps. I'm going to have those falls like my aunt did in the bank. But, you get yourself up and you dust yourself off. I was at a restaurant yesterday, and there was some water on the floor, and I was wearing boots, and I slipped. And guess what? Thank goodness I didn't hit the floor, but I grabbed a chair. I mean, it was like some kind of graceful thing. And everybody in the restaurant, because it made a huge noise, and I was like, wow. And so What did I do? I was going to the restroom. I went to the restroom. I came out. I didn't need to take a bow or, bemoan it. When I left the restaurant, there was an option to go behind and go on the carpet. And I was like, that's the safer path for me. And I went on with my day. But it was like, okay, whatever. No
even if you'd fallen on your T-street, we got nothing to do with the same.
Yeah,
that's just the way it goes. It's interesting. What's interesting about what you said is that it encapsulates the fact that we are literally in control of creating every moment of our reality based on what we think about it. And when you embrace that. Matter of fact, I'm finding it interesting that Pam actually she focuses on that question more than anything else and is still seeking the answer. It's not, I don't know, there's probably a lot of different, everybody we talk to, from Brian Scott to the teachers with Carol Collins channels, to Bashar, everybody, the fact is that Anka happens to channel, this is not rocket science. It's not rocket science. It's actually what you need to be knowing. Unfortunately, when we grow up, you might know it in the beginning. You might have a sense of it. However, it gets drummed out of you. We have a society, and the society, it depends upon everybody conforming. That's what it depends upon. Our society, because we live in a consumer-based society, at least here in the United States, 70% of our gross domestic product comes from consumerism. And so if everybody decides they're not going to consume, guess what? We go into a recession and everybody suffers. Jobs get lost because that's the economic model that we use. Right? It's not a helping model. It's a profit model. It's a capitalism model. And so what's interesting is that, I don't know if you caught it, you probably did. I have to listen to it again, but in the interview with Pam Gregory, and we'll share that link. I'll have to get the link for you. We'll share it definitely in the description of this podcast. It's really, really fascinating that these two young ladies in Spain just decided to go into. They went into the forest in Spain. I don't think they just walked in there and did it, but they went through the powers that be to create to carve out a community where it was the community that was in the grandest vision of communities. And I have to listen to that a little bit more to find out exactly what it is that they're doing. However, it just the idea of it taking it upon yourself to say, look, this isn't working. This isn't working for everyone. We've got issues around the world. The major issue is that people with money are going into areas where it's inexpensive, and they're making it expensive, right? They like it, so they come there and they make it expensive. Then they turn it into a business. Then they want to make money from it. And then before you know it, within a few years, the place that used to be paradise and very affordable is no longer affordable for the people that live there and have been there their entire lives. Right? I've seen this story play out for the last 50 years. I go to places, then I go back to places, and what happens is they again, the money and the capitalism come to town, and before you know it, it's no longer that sweet, wonderful, blissful place that you fell in love with. It's business after business after business supporting people who come in and run up the real estate prices and everything else. So we have to. These two young ladies are saying, you know what? That's enough of that. Everybody deserves a seat at the table. And they're evidently creating a community where everybody can have a seat at the table. And I'm interested in learning more about it, and I certainly will email Pam to see if she can elaborate on it. She mentioned it in the interview, and I'm sure it's out there. If I Google it, I'll probably get it. Or if I ask AI on Bing, I'll probably get it. So it's one of the things that we have to understand is that we create the world that we live in. And I am very careful to curate my world in a way that is most blissful to me. So that's my right. Sure. That's everybody's right. You don't have to fall for the party line, so to speak, the capitalistic party line if you don't want to. You don't have to. And this you see, it's when you grow up, when you're a child, you're curious. You're inspired by everything. You want to ask questions. You ask why about everything. And then after a while, they just tell you, stop asking why and just show up. It's just the way it is, right? So they drum that out of you. They drum the curiosity out of you, because if you're too curious at the wrong time, you disrupt. And if you disrupt, that's a bad thing. So don't be curious. At least if you're going to be curious, do it in your room. Do it under these circumstances at this time, between this time and this time, right? So what do? You put it in a container, and then before you know it, you lose the container. And so what do? It's kind of like love. I was thinking about this when it comes to business, in the business world. Now, when I started out the show, why is love such a bad thing? Why is being loving in business, combining love and business together, why is love of yourself and love of life and love of those you work with or those you serve, why is it a bad thing? You know, can't you make a living by helping other people get what they want in a happy way, by loving people and supporting people? Can that not happen? I've done it for 38, 39 years. And because that's the way I decided to do business, is by that. And everybody that I do business with is like me too. I don't have people who are dramatic, people who live in fear, people who fear every little thing, people who get upset easily. I don't have I don't do business with those kinds of people because I've never been that way myself, so I've never attracted anyone like that into my life and into my sphere of business. So everybody's awesome, and I love everybody, and I tell them, you know, I can tell them, hey, I love you. You're phenomenal. We worked for a long time together, and I've just enjoyed the heck out of it. And that's, we can do that. We can succeed. We don't have to war on people to get what we want. We don't have to inconvenience other people, groups of people. You know, I told somebody the other day, I said, why don't we just all start looking at each other as souls, balls of light in suits of clothes? That's really what we are.
That's wonderful.
We're just balls of light. Everybody's a ball of light. Just instead of seeing tall, dark, black, white, red, yellow, short, tall, slightly pudgy, skinny as a rail, instead of seeing, you know, people like that and judging them in that way, why don't we just see them as souls, and that's their suit of clothes. That's the suit they're wearing. It's life. Yep. That's the suit they're wearing. And train ourselves not to judge. Yeah, not to judge people. Because honestly, when we do that...
I have to laugh. Go ahead.
Yeah,
go ahead, please. No, I was just going to say, because that's what I say about dogs. I'm like, they're people in a fuzzy suit. But we don't judge a dog. We don't go, oh, that one's too little, or that one, you know.
Oh, there's a lot of people who judge dogs. Come on now.
Yeah, maybe, but
when
that's
you have
too
a dog,
big.
I don't want that around.
Lick your face. Well, I don't know. When you have a dog loving on you, or even a cat or an animal, you know, they're just a big ball of love. I mean, they are really. They just
you know it.
They don't care.
It.
Yeah. Yeah,
my cat jumps off the bed in the other room after a deep sleep for a few hours and just walks into my office and demands some love. Just walks in and says, demand some love. Here you go. I'm going to stand around here until you love on me. and then, okay, that's enough. Okay, I'm going to go back to take a nap now. This is, if we could all be that open and honest about love, man, the world would change in a lot of different ways.
Oh, truly. And that's why I think, I love the idea of saying, I love you, I love you, I love you. When you think about a mother who has a baby in the womb, there's that loving connection. Before that, they've even seen the child be born. There is a love that is being emanated. And so one of the things, and we have talked about them before, which is one of my favorite, is the Heart Math Institute. And if you go to heartmath.org, and they talk a lot about the field of the heart and how it's emitted. And the electromagnetic field of the heart and the energy field radiates about 9 feet from the physical body. So think about it. If you're out at dinner and you're feeling loving thoughts, the people that are in that restaurant with you, by the process of osmosis, are feeling that frequency. They're feeling that electromagnetic energy that's being emitted from your heart. Now, the same is true. I mean, I'm sure that you felt it too. If there's somebody that's angry that walks into a room, and it almost sometimes takes people's breaths away. Or somebody that's fearful, and then they try to get everybody on that same page, and you just have to stop. And whether it be with Ho'oponopono, forgive me, I'm sorry, thank you, I love you, and just keep doing that over and over again, or just telling yourself, I love you, I love you, I love you, and sending that love, drop into that field of the heart. And just feeling those positive emotions. Or have you ever had somebody and they've had something really harrowing, and you reach out and you just touch them, and that all that is the love from your heart and just that touch, and it's transmitted to them, and it may be all that they need just to take that deep breath and to allow that coherent energy from that heart to come in. And one of the things that I really loved about that interview with Pam, and she was talking about really the pillars for 2024, and that the year would be built on integrity, humility, love, kindness, compassion, and joy. And that it was all about operating from your center. Your center, what is in your center? It's the heart. And so I truly believe that, and I love that. I kept thinking, okay, integrity, humility. Wow. I mean, what a difference from the opposite.
I haven't heard that word in a while. I really haven't. I didn't know people don't use that word a lot. A lot of the things I listen to and other things, humility is not a word that gets bantered about. Like love or like bliss or happiness or everything else. People really don't give that a thought. That's why it's such a great word. It's such a great humility. What a great concept. I was thinking about what you said there when you're talking about touching people. I touch so many people. It's amazing that I haven't been arrested already. I do. I touch people I don't know.
I get it.
I touch them on the shoulder. I touch them on the back. I say, Merry Christmas. I say Merry Christmas to somebody, and my hand just goes out and just touches them on the shoulder. It's an automatic thing. It's not like something I can just not do. It's pretty amazing. I touch men. I touch women on the shoulder, sometimes on the back, and I'm like, it's not in any way negative. It's never seen as negative. It's never taken.
I totally understand that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I am the same way.
Yeah, we have to, we've been conditioned. We've been conditioned to fear other people. And this comes from our constant connection to news and media, and shows that drama shows and others, and shows about CSI and FBI and death and somebody getting somebody, misfortunate circumstances that lead people to be hurt, right? We have a fascination with that kind of drama, whether it's docudrama or made-up drama, scripted drama. And what we don't realize is that it's poisoning our grid when it comes to connection with other people. Mm-hmm. We've come to fear other people. That's our instantaneous response, is to fear other people. I'll give you an example. Sometimes that fear is so pronounced that nothing gets through. Nothing gets through. I was in the store buying a couple of avocados. I was in a produce department. I was heading over to get some avocados, and this woman was reaching way back to the top because it was about time where they were going to start throwing away overripe avocados. And she was an Asian woman, and I didn't say a thing. I didn't say a thing to her. I just basically came to the side of her. I was waiting for her to finish getting the avocado she wanted to get before I reached over to, because she was literally standing right like in front of. Nobody could touch an avocado because she was reaching with her whole body and hand up in there. And I was just standing there, and I guess I must have been a little bit too close waiting, because she picked her avocado, she turned and she looked at me, and she gave me this look of oh my God, you're standing there. She didn't say anything, but she gave me this quick look and quickly walked away, took her cart and walked away. And there was nothing she said, nothing she did. She just gave me this look of fear and concern that I was standing there. Right? And I said, oh my gosh, what is this world coming to? That happens so rarely. However, she wasn't even cordial. Now, it could have been that she didn't speak English. I don't know. There was no smile. It was a fearful face, like I was going to some way accost her in front of the avocados. And I think about this and I go, we are being conditioned. We are being conditioned by media and by all forms of media, whether it's creative or otherwise, to fear other people. To fear connection, to fear somebody you don't know, that you have not been introduced to formally, right? Mm-hmm. That doesn't happen to me a lot. A lot of times everybody's very cordial. I look at them and I say, excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm waiting for you, just waiting. And they go, oh, yeah, okay, fine, I appreciate it. Here, I say, it's not a big deal. I can wait till you're done. I'm not in any particular hurry. And then, you get this, but, you have that kind of reaction. I didn't attract this woman to me. I was going towards her to get an avocado. I would never attract this kind of person to me. That's just not who I attract into my life. People who are operating, except, of course, this gentleman that I talked to. But he likes me a lot, and I believe that he calls me because he considers me a lifeline. And that's okay. That's all well and good, except I tell him, I don't want to be your lifeline. I want you to be your lifeline.
Yeah, you'd like for him to graduate and empower him.
Graduate and become your own lifeline.
To do. Sure.
Right, because if you don't learn how to manage yourself, you're always going to be looking outside of yourself for validation, for acknowledgement that you're, a good person, or that you're okay to be loved, or whatever. And I know that emanates from, he's told me enough about his parents, that I know that that's why he is the way he is. He's 39 years old, and he's freaking out about things that don't deserve to be freaked out about. So, I don't know. I do the best I can, and sometimes when I reach a point where he's continues to rake up the past as if I've never heard it before, and I've been talking to him for 2 years, and I've heard the same thing for 2 years about thousands of times, I let him know. I said, we don't need to talk about the past. Tell me something good that's happening. I try to derail it and say, tell me something good that's happening right now. Tell me something good that's happened to you lately.
Hey, get him on that. Yeah, exactly.
Give me the positive cliff notes. Don't call me in and rehash something that you've told me 1,000 times before, because it's got you right now. It's this fear moment. Of a beating yourself up moment. And we have to just be cognizant of that. and move forward. Listen, operating from your creative, from your center of your heart, living not superficially but deeply. Mm-hmm. This is really the mission and the goal here. And we on the show have given, I don't know, a myriad of different ways to approach doing that, because this is Connect to Love after all, and we're looking to connect to that. And we've given, like I said, a myriad, a cornucopia of ways for people to approach that. And that's what's important. And at some particular point in life, we're not always on the same page. Nobody's always on the same page as other people. You're not on the same page as your friends. However, your friends and who you're running to can be the litmus test for whether or not you're changing your thoughts about yourself and your life. It's really interesting. And Pam did mention Ho'oponopono today. In that
she did, yeah.
She did mention Ho'oponopono and how it and the experience that your friend, the gentleman who from Hawaii that we still want to get on the show, that kind of experience. She ran into. I know you told me he did it, but she's the second person that I've heard that has done it. That it wasn't really about forgiving yourself as much as it was about putting the prayer of forgiveness out there to transform circumstances, the energy of circumstances, right? Of your circumstances, or the person that you need to connect with. And thinking to yourself, good. You're
100% right. I mean, and when Len Haleakala Q, he worked as a psychiatrist for 4 years in a mental hospital for the criminally insane. And he never saw a patient. He would pull up the chart. And because what he found was originally when he would bring the person in, it always seemed like they had more of the problem when they were in front of him. And so he made the choice. He said, you know what, maybe the problem is within me. So he would pull up the person's chart and he would look at whatever it was and he would clean. He would call it cleaning. Ho'oponopono is a cleaning. And he would clean that in himself. And little by little, I mean, and these were patients that some of them had to be shackled to be able to walk down the hallway and medicated. But they started getting better and better. And after 4 years, there were no more patients. So they closed the hospital. And it seems so unreal that when we heal something within ourselves, that it can change. And it wasn't, and this is what I said to a friend of mine, this is not about you doing it for somebody else. This is about you doing it for you. It doesn't matter what your judgment about what that other person is going through or why you think they need it. No, you're missing the whole point. It's about evolving the way we see the world, we ourselves, me, myself, and I. And then opening ourselves up to what the potentiality and the possibilities are, knowing that anything is possible. And I think that that's really where it is. So when you not limiting yourself and saying, okay, I don't know what's going to happen if I just keep working on this for myself. Because really, in the Course in Miracles, it says love brings up everything unlike itself. And I remind myself of that all the time.
Wow.
Like, okay, this person's triggering this in me. Okay, I got to heal that. And it's not about them. Why am I allowing it? No, it's me. It's my consciousness and what I am allowing and looking inward. And that's really the perspective I think that when Pam was talking about, and I've heard it referred to from other people, this new human and what we're evolving into. And I'm excited for it. I am. I mean, to think that more and more people are opening up their awareness, allowing themselves to be seen, and in being seen, being vulnerable. Like, me sliding in the middle of a restaurant, and then, thank goodness, the table was empty, the one that I ultimately slid into and grabbed hold of the chair. I mean, but what a metaphor for life. Like, okay, you know what?
And you caught yourself.
I didn't fall on my bottom. I caught myself, and I do that. But I find myself doing that more and more. Okay, catch myself. Okay, no, because I don't want to be in that vibration. And I want to play in these other vibrations more. I mean, that's what it is. It's crowding it out. I want this more. I don't even focus on it's not even what I don't want. I want that more. I want more.
Exactly. Yeah,
of all of that.
The healing, when I heard her say that, and when I heard you just say the story about Lynn Haleakala, Ho'oponopono is really, and think about this for a second. When you're if you're a psychologist and you're working in a hospital where people are mentally ill, they're there. The perception of everybody in there is that something's wrong with them. Right? That's the perception you have as a psychologist, because you're there to fix them. You're there to heal them in some way or help them get better. And that perception is something that you can forgive and eliminate. Think about this. This is what came to my mind when you said that, is that what he was doing was eliminating his perception of their illness within him. And by doing so, it impacted them directly, because he changed the frequency, he changed the vibration within himself of that negative connotation, right? And he was able then to see them as people. Then they were able to pick up on that and see themselves as people. It's really interesting, because I think about that in when you look at a teacher who's teaching in a school, and there are some teachers that listen to this, and I'm just saying in general, I have come across teachers who have a perception of students that they've had for many years. I know more than you. I know what's better for you. I know everything. You don't know anything. I'm here to teach you. You're here to learn, right? And that perception with somebody who is gifted, who sees them, who is gifted and doesn't realize it yet, that perception can overlook a gifted person. In my view, everybody's gifted in one way or another, and that is what that perception can do. Is it can color your thinking and your vibration with regard to connecting with the students. Everybody is, again, a light in a suit of clothes. They are younger, they're impressionable. However, the younger generations right now are very steadfast about, they're very, evolved. Awareness, their awareness is evolved. I know that my nephew, who's now a graduate of UCLA and is studying for medical school, so that makes him about 23. He, growing up, was much more evolved in terms of what he should and shouldn't be eating, and that's carried through to where he is right now. He's got a sense of design. He's got a sense of placement. He's got a sense of understanding, who he is. And he was gay, and he came out in high school. And he is such a phenomenal young man, and has a sense of style, has a sense of design, but he's always had that. My sister recognized that from the very beginning and just let it flow. Just let it roll. Let it roll. I'm not going to put this kid in the box. He's going to be who he's going to be. And he was a 4.1 student in high school. He was a 4.1 student at UCLA. Very, very, very
That's
smart.
Incredible.
Very inquisitive. He'll be a 4.1 medical school student, I swear. I mean, he is that, and it comes easy to him because he doesn't consider it hard. I don't think my brother ever told him that school was hard. We somehow react to when we got to watch those thought viruses.
For sure.
Because those things will rule your life. Little things when someone tells you, no, you don't want to do that because you don't make any money at that. Or you don't want to do that because there's nothing in it. You can't be successful doing that. Not really true. The success monetarily that's not the only success, although it can lead to monetary success when you allow your creative energies and juices to flow. into various pathways. So tell that to somebody who's an actor or an actress who's been told time and time again, you'll never make it, you'll never do this, by people who they were interviewing, who they were auditioning for, over and over again. One woman 30 times got turned down for Broadway, 30 times. Ended up coming back, going into film and doing something else, and came back to do a play in the theater, the first theater she was rejected in. The first time she came back to Broadway, it was the same theater where she was rejected 30 times, like 25, 26, 20, or 30 years earlier, right? The first time she had an audition, she was rejected in that very theater, yet she was back 3-4 decades later doing a play in that theater. And if she had listened to the person who told her she wasn't right for the part at that particular point, or whatever they did tell her, because there's a lot of rude things that get told in that industry. And if she had listened to that, where would she be? She would have not pursued her dream, her which was to be an actress on screen and stage. So a lot of people, you listen to some of these stories, man, of people who are in the business and what they had to go through to get to where they are. The belief system that they have to have in themselves is ironclad. And that's the way that we have to be in life. We have to get rid of doubt, get rid of limitation, and go for it.
Right.
Because there isn't,
and I think,
the only stopping is us.
Yeah, no, and I was going to say, I mean, if you're going to invest in your own life, start by telling yourself, I love you. And it might sound hokey, but every day, no matter what, I love you. Like, look in the mirror. I love you. I love you. I love how you look in those pants. I love how your eyes look today. I love the fact that my hair worked out today, or I love the fact that I made somebody smile. You can always find things that you can love about yourself. And I think that that's where it is. We need to shift our mindset. And what's interesting, saying I love you does not mean you're not humble. That there's anything that
Very
is...
true. It has nothing to do with that. That's one of the connotations that has been, passed on from someone who didn't love themselves. Is that, that's one of the love is bad. Loving yourself isn't a good thing. Don't tell other people. Just, if you love yourself, fine, but don't spread it around. Because it's a sign of weakness, and it isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of absolute strength and power. Absolute strength and power. And if the kids, if we could just get more parents encouraging their kids to tell them, to focus on loving themselves instead of how insufficient they are, or how they're not worthy of whatever it is, there would be a generation that would be the kind of leaders that could help other people love themselves as well.
That's so true.
Interestingly enough, what I tell some people is, they say, "Oh, you ought to run for office." I said, I don't know. I love myself too much to run for office.
For sure.
I do.
And
I love myself
the fact
too much
that you live from the miraculous, and I think that that's the other part is, and Pam echoed that, and really seeing yourself as a miracle that you are. And she talks a lot about the divine blueprint, the blueprint of us being so unique. And if there was a symphony and they could play the geometry of your birth chart, it would be magnificent. And I love the fact that the idea is that each one of us has our own unique part in this amazing symphony, in this orchestration of what's unfolding, of that love, kindness, compassion, humility, integrity, and joy. The pillars for 2024. I'm going to let you close out the show, Michael. I'm so grateful for so many things. You are miraculous.
I am grateful for you. I'm going to recite Ho'oponopono, and I'm going to encourage all of our listeners to take it to heart in this last 55 seconds. I am sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. I thank you. I am sorry. Please forgive me. And you're saying it to yourself. So when I say it, I say, I am sorry. I am sorry. Please put my hand on my heart and go, please forgive me. I love you, and I thank you. And you can just say that over and over and over. Whenever you have a thought about yourself, say that. Whenever you have to, are encountering a situation where the other person is not, you think it's an antagonistic situation, say Ho'oponopono. Say that prayer to yourself over and over again in the car, on the way to where you're going, and have the other person in mind where you're doing it. And thank you very much. This has been awesome. All right?
Yeah, thank you.
Take care.
I love you, and I thank you, and I thank you all for being so connected to love.
Thank you.
It's a delight.
All right. Be well.